Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have actor and producer Roger Dorman with us today. He can be seen as Officer Mike Wind in the thriller Karen. This movie is in theaters and on digital platforms now. He has also appeared in the Lifetime movie Cheering for Your Life and the film Wander with Aaron Eckhart and Tommy Lee Jones. He also executive produced that project.
And we're excited to talk to him about all that and so much more. So, Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's definitely our pleasure. I always like to start out the same way. As you know, the last 18 months has been rough for a lot of people in entertainment. I always kind of want to just get that out the bud at the beginning of the show. How has COVID affected what you do? And what have you done this last 18 months to maneuver through this craziness?
Great question. Fortunately, I didn't start out in the entertainment industry. I'm a businessman first and have a company a currency exchange company that I own that pays for my bills. But had I not had I would have had a few issues for sure. It's set everything off a good anywhere from 6 months to a couple years back in terms of the projects that I have been assigned to and was cast in. So, yeah.
Wow. That's like for us, we started this show January of 2020, so a couple months before COVID. And, we had no idea what was coming. We had this big dream. We thought we could interview maybe 100 guests our first year.
Yes,
we thought if we could build that'd be a great foundation. And then COVID happens. Yeah. And as I'm watching everything get shut down, I'm like, they need our show.
We saw an opening and opportunity.
We saw an opportunity there. It was like everything being shut down. Actors and artists and all that and entertainment, they need a place to talk, and we're going to give it to them. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year, and we're over 450 now.
Wow. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's definitely been a crazy journey. Now, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to become an actor? But I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click that it could eventually be a career for you?
Well, my story is a little different. As a businessman, I was actually at a investor meeting with the board of directors of a publicly traded company that I have invested in. And I'd been there for a couple of days and went to dinner with one of the board members. And he looked across the table at me and said, "Hey, I've got a movie I'd like you to be in." So at that moment is when I knew I wanted to be an actor, I guess. I was flattered. I was a little overwhelmed, disbelieving, but I went with it. And a few movies later, here I am.
Now, when he asked you that, did you think he was crazy? Because again, if you never thought of that before that moment, what was going through your mind at that point?
Well, I laughed and I just said, just so you know, before I answer the question or respond to your invitation, I just want you to know the only time I've ever acted before in my life was I was the lead in the Christmas play when I was in kindergarten. So
yes.
that's my resume. If you still want me, there you go.
Wow. And how long ago was that when that happened?
As far not the kindergarten part. That was probably about 5 years ago.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
So how have you enjoyed being, since it wasn't like a dream, because a lot of people who are actors and actresses, it's been their dream all their life. So it's really been a 5-year dream for you. So how has that been, making this transition from businessman to now actor and producer?
Well, I think the producer part is that businessman in me. It was easy to go that route and be on the financial side of things and running things, because that's the stuff that I know. As far as acting goes, that's been a deep challenge for me. And I've spent literally hundreds of hours with my private acting coach out of Beverly Hills. Her name is Susanna Morris, out of the Eric Morris Actors Workshop. They've worked with A-listers for years and years and years. And so I've spent tremendous amount of private time with her, getting understanding and trying to hone the craft. How has it been? It's been challenging. It's been frustrating. Actors they're used to it. Businessmen aren't used to it, where there's constantly shifting timelines on things. And so that's the nature of the business. Even at its best, there's always going to be adjusting timelines for when movies start, when they're actually going to film, and so on. And getting used to that has been certainly challenging, obviously second only to the acting itself.
Now, have you got a whole different respect for actors and actresses now?
No question. For one, the biggest, and it's one of the things I learned almost right away, is acting is living a different life every time you have a new character. Mm-hmm. And so in essence, you are gaining more and more perspective and becoming more and more empathetic towards people, their situations, their whys, because every time I go into a character, I have to think of, in every scene, I have to have my emotional obligations in place. I have to understand why they would do what they would do. I'd have to have a backstory, understanding why would they be motivated to be this mean or this racist or this or that or the other. And everybody has a justification in their life. There's not a single person in this world that doesn't, that didn't end up where they're at because of what they've experienced or who they've become as a result of their childhood, experiences they've had as adults, you name it. And to be able to create that and recreate it again and again and again, you can't help but gain empathy. So in my perspective, actors become more and more kind, more and more understanding, more and more open-minded of people and situations, versus what people may paint them as closed-minded. It's the opposite. They're very open-minded and very aware and alert and empathetic towards the world. So that's what it's really opened my eyes for that.
And, you know, we get exactly where you're coming from, because I'll be honest, before we started this show, I was closed-minded to a lot of things out there, big time. But now that we've done 450 interviews, I've seen stories that touch us.
Stories from all walks of
life.
I
mean, people that I would have disagreed with in the past. And I'm like, man, they got a really awesome story. And, you know, and so many times on our show now, it's like, wow, you know, they went through that or they went through that. And so the show has helped us become more human.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I just, you know, and so sometimes we sit there, it's like, we just wish people could, I wish I could put my brain on some people on all sides of things, because again, that, you know, we need to be more human right now.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Especially nowadays.
So let's talk a little bit about Karen. Tell us about your role and how you've had to handle that and the show itself.
Well, Karen's a story about a woman who is very racist, and really she lives her life out of fear, right? She's a single mom living in this white suburban neighborhood, and a African-American couple moves in next door to her. And her story, and it comes a little bit out in the movie, is that, you know, she and her brother, who I play as her older brother, Officer Mike Wind, we grew up in a neighborhood where we had the experience of the neighborhood being taken over by cocaine and other drug type stuff, to where our parents felt like they needed to move us out of the suburban neighborhood. And my character was beaten up, tying me again by a neighbor that had moved in, that was an African-American boy older than me, that had beat me up a bunch in constant conflict. So that's the backstory that comes out of the movie about why we would feel threatened by this happening again.
Yeah.
And so she ends up acting like the typical Karen and getting in people's business and making life hell for this young African-American couple that is just excited to be moving up in the world and building their life together. And it's that story that at times hits the nail too close on the head. So when I think about this movie, I think, okay, what is this going to do? How is this going to trigger people in their minds? Yeah. You know, are they going to be triggered by their real life issues, or are they going to understand that it's entertainment and actually get humor out of what's happening versus what, or
probably a combo.
Yeah, maybe a combination, but either way, be introspective and take a look at yourself as to why you're reacting that way towards the movie. And my character, he's a police officer that comes in and thinks he's above the law. He tends to overreact to situations and has a temper of his own. and as such creates quite a bit of problems. So between him and Karen, it becomes quite the mess.
Sounds like a really great show.
Yes, a movie. We'll definitely have
to check it out. Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the big actors and big artists, and they see the glory and behind them, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it's taken, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within entertainment. And I always want to talk about this side with every guest, because I think it's one of the most glossed over things. People think, oh, I got talent, I'll make it. But we both know that is not true, because it takes talent, hard work, and yes, a little bit of luck.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that side of it. You know, I know you only been in for 5 years, but I'm sure you've had to sacrifice and struggle a lot in those years.
Oh, there's no question. People don't realize that when an actor takes on a movie, especially the A-listers that they're all familiar with, they spend months upon months preparing for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so every tear, every laughter, every moment of anger, whatever it is they're experiencing, and seeing their favorite actor perform this incredible feat that they absolutely buy into hook, line, and sinker, because they nail it,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
is their real life emotion being tied to that particular scene. They really are suffering. And it may not have anything to do with that particular scene, but it has to do with something that happened to them in their real life that they're reliving while they're saying the words of that scene and acting out the way it needs to be acted out. So, and that doesn't just happen. It doesn't matter if Tommy Lee Jones or Meryl Streep or Harrison Ford or whoever is acting out a scene. They can't just walk in having no effort at all and just whip out a line and nail it. They have to spend months upon months preparing, which means sitting in an actor's studio, talking on a Skype phone, whatever they're doing with their particular acting coach, or their partner that's helping them prepare for the movie, drilling over and over. Not only the memorization of the lines, the easy part, it's tying the emotional obligations to the scene and to the line that is the difficult part. And that is not something that they,
because you want to move
lightly.
The audience.
It's brutal effort on their part, that where it's excruciating. It is not pleasant. It is not fun. And then they go on set and they once again have to experience that all again, combined with the pressure and the time limits of filming the project and living up to the expectations of 50 or 100 people standing around watching them do that. People don't realize how many people are actually on set
every time.
Yes.
And then they get to show up at some event that happens anywhere between 9 months and 2 years later, after they already filmed the scene, when the film actually is released. And they may show up on a red carpet, but trust me, by then they have already probably acted in 2 or 3 other movies by that point. But they're talking about this movie, trying to remember everything they did, putting on a smile for everybody. It's all a mirage. It's not reality. And then they would tell you that.
And, you know, I get exactly where you're coming from on one part of that, because, you know, we're writing a book about our show and how we launched this.
We're currently in the
process. Like yesterday, I was writing the beginning stages of the kind of roots behind the show, even though what the show itself is a little bit of our story. And as I'm writing, I'm reliving what I'm writing. And so I totally get what you say, that they have, you know, every time they do the scene, they relive moments from their past because of that scene.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's flip the script and go the other way now. We talked a little bit about the sacrifice and struggle side, and I have such high respect for actors and artists and all that, because they do a lot to entertain people like us.
Oh yes,
you know, so much. But let's go the other way and talk about the glory side. You know, what are a few moments where you look back on your 5-year career with acting and say, wow, that happened?
I don't know if glory is the word, but I think just being in the presence of some of these fantastic actors, sitting next to Tommy Lee Jones or Aaron Eckhart, having lunch with him in between takes, visiting with Catherine Winnick or taking selfies with her, or having Taryn Manning asked me for a selfie in between shots after her scene. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is, and building friendships, going to lunch with Raymond Cruz, and meeting up with him in LA, when I'm in town or whatever. All of those things are pretty nice, pretty incredible to be able to build friendships with these icons of the industry that you've been watching on TV forever, realizing they're just normal people like you and me. And when you struggle through something together, you create a bond. So,
that's really cool. Like there are many times that we're driving down the road listening to the radio and somebody will come on, oh, we interviewed them, and somebody else will come, oh, there was times where we heard 5 songs in a row. We interviewed all 5 people, or we turn on the TV and we interviewed them. And so
that's really surreal.
It's been such a surreal moment for us because we're just 2 average people doing something we just had this crazy dream about, back in January 2020. And here we are with people like you and all the other people that are coming on our show.
Yeah. Everybody's an average person. They're just doing extraordinary things.
I love that.
Yeah. Like they say, the extraordinary is like as an ordinary person doing extraordinary, just a little extra is what makes it count.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see you as the actor and all the other actors, but they don't see the teams behind the actors. And in our opinion, the teams never get the love they deserve. But on our show, they get some love. So tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Well, I already mentioned Susanna Morris, although she would probably not want me to mention her. She's very, very private. But she leaves it up to us as actors to decide who we want to share. But she's tight-lipped. She'll never share who she works with.
Yeah.
So, but I have no problem bragging about her. She and I are very close, and I've shared virtually everything in my life with this woman in order to get to those emotional obligations. So you can imagine that there's a bond that happens there when you spend hundreds of hours talking to someone through Skype or in person, for that matter. Beyond that, I apologize. I forgot the question. I got on a tangent. What was your question again?
About the team.
Okay.
About the team.
The lady that has made it possible for me to get to this point, her name is Mary Allo. She's with Allo Entertainment. She's produced 40 plus independent films in Hollywood. She's just over the past 15 years, she's just a beast go-getter. She's producing 5 or 6 right now. She puts me in most of the movies she's involved with. She just believes in me. I'm lucky to have developed a close friendship with her. I call her my sister, and she called me her brother. And we just believe in each other. And so it helps to have someone who's connected, who knows what they're doing, who has that gumption to just push you through. Like when she creates a deal, she's like, that's great, but we need to get my close friend and actor friend into this film. How are we going to do that? In order for me to work with you, we need to get this done. I mean, you can't put a price on something like that when you have someone like that who believes in you that strongly.
And something I've learned by doing this show, for all the people that we've talked to that are rising out there, there's always been, on almost every person we have chatted with, that one person that kind of opened the door who was connected.
Yes, a pivotal person.
Because again, something I've learned is talking to many people, most people will admit that it does take a little luck, but you'll never get to the luck part if you don't do the work part. That's the part that people don't get. You don't just get lucky breaks. You have to work hard, and then eventually that one person will open that first door.
Yep.
And believe in you so much where they want to bring you with them. And it sounds like you got that.
It's interesting. So the gentleman who, I guess, discovered me in our shareholder meeting, he introduced me to her.
Oh, wow.
And that's how it started. And she was so impressed by how hard I was working on the roles that's what grabbed her attention initially. She'd never met anybody who was working so hard at something, and she couldn't help but be drawn to that. And Susanna would tell anybody, you can be as talented as you want or have a certain look, but Hollywood's not looking for a certain look. It's not looking for a certain person. It's a combination of many factors that makes someone have the quote it factor. But the number one determining factor of success in Hollywood is how dependable are you? When you show up on set, who are you going to be? Are you going to be someone they can count on that's going to deliver what they need for that particular character? Or are you going to be a problem? Or are you going to come in unprepared? Or are you going to be a deer in headlights? People react differently under pressure. And so you need to be someone that's a combination of all those things. But the key to getting there is the hard work so that you can become dependable and you put that time and effort in behind it. That's what connected me to Mary, is her seeing how hard I was working, and she identified with it because she's that way. So that's how it all started.
So what I just said was actually 100%, because again, that's something that I've learned by interviewing so many people is
we've seen that pattern there.
Is that there's a pattern there. And so I'm seeing a pattern on almost everybody who's rising, which is really cool.
The pattern is not because you love acting. That's not the pattern. The pattern is that you put in the effort behind it in the right way with the right people and are connected with the right person to drive you so that you can get more work.
Love that. Now, speaking of teens, we have a third co-host, our 9-year-old, that we allow come on to ask a couple questions. So Sandy's going to get him real quick. And we've got a 2.5 daughter that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too, because we are a family affair show.
Awesome. Well, I'd be remiss not to say that's part of my team too, is my kids are phenomenal part of my team and have been very supportive of their dad doing what he does.
I bet they love it.
Hi, Roger. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yes.
I love salmon and I love sushi. Salmon and sushi.
And what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Oh, no surprise there.
You would eat it all day long.
Very nice.
What's your favorite TV show?
You know, I watch Netflix, so I go through a lot of shows when I'm binge watching. The last one I watched was All American. It's been through 3 seasons, and I binge watched through the 3 seasons. So that's my latest favorite.
And what's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
Oh, okay. I've seen lots of SpongeBob shows with my 9-year-old.
And it's been pretty cool because he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows. So we've been able to bring on quite a bit of actor and actresses onto our show for him to talk to.
Awesome.
So what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Inception and Interstellar. I have 2 of them.
What's yours?
Mine is the Minions movie.
The Minions movie?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Them all. They have built a really great brand, I tell you.
Yes.
Bye, thanks.
Bye. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, he's been on over 400 interviews with us. So, we love doing that. And, I remember when Sandy and I first started the show, I was like, I wanted it to be a family show. And the guests don't always have to be family because, we'll bring on, I'd bring on Howard Stern. It wouldn't matter,
Yes.
But we wanted our side to be family oriented where we do it all as a family and all that.
That's wonderful.
So, as you know, back in 2015, we interviewed Kelsey Ballerini. And back then, she was just Kelsey. She was before she became Kelsey.
Yeah, she wasn't widely known.
And one of the questions I asked was where she wanted to be in 5 years. I always like to ask this question to guests and tell them what she talked about. Because, again, she told the answer she gave us back then, I was almost to the T of what she's living now. Knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
I have been blessed in my life to accomplish a lot of things. And this has been pretty fast growing. My first movie was with Tommy Lee Jones and Aaron Eckhart in a supporting actor role. And now I'm cast in 4 more movies coming up. So I would like to be seen as a solid actor who has put in some incredible Are you there? I apologize.
Yeah, we're here. No
Okay,
problem.
I thought I got cut off somehow. I just want to be working and doing what I love and being involved in roles that are meaningful and important and are socially relevant. And as long as I am true to myself while also providing entertainment for others and staying true to myself as a father to my children and a friend to my friends and a brother and son, that's all that matters to me.
Love that.
Love that.
Now, if you could co-star with any actor or actress, who would it be and what role would you want to play?
You know, it would be nice to do a action adventure show, maybe with a there's a lot of good ones out there. I can't even think of their names at the moment. Maybe you got me in my own deer in the headlights moment. You know, I'm not a big, I admire all the actors. And so I don't care who I work with as long as I come and do my part.
Yeah.
And they come and do their part. There's been moments where I've been surprised where people haven't come prepared. And that surprises me.
Oh, wow.
I know but I don't judge. I know there are situations where some people are just coming off another movie or whatever, but I don't know, a Tom Hardy character.
That would be cool.
I guess I'd like a Band of Brothers kind of movie where rubbing
good.
shoulders. You know, I could be Robin to Batman, something like that.
You know, it's funny. We're supposed to be having the original Robin coming on Saturday.
Oh, nice. Yes, Burt Ward.
Burt Ward. As long as everything goes good, we'll have him Saturday, which is pretty cool. It's funny you mentioned that.
Yes.
So,
yes. What are some sources of inspiration for you?
You know, it's my life. It's my parents, my brothers and sisters, my kids, my childhood, experiences in business, friends. I've lived a life more than people would ever realize and been through a lot. And I'm able to pull that source material up for whatever is needed in a particular role. It's surprising what you would find would be the emotional obligation behind a particular scene where maybe I'm feeling racist and angry in a moment, but I'm actually feeling hurt and disappointed and feeling betrayed in my real life to be able to create that scene that shows anger and resentment and racism.
That makes sense.
It does. And what would you like for your legacy to be? What would you want to be known and remembered for?
First and foremost, a great father. Eventually a husband. I'm not married, so that would have to come later. Honest person, a good man, somebody who is concerned about humanity, concerned about the world, who was kind to everybody he met, who never took advantage of other people, who was intuitive and generous with others emotionally and in whatever means is needed to handle a situation. So goodness, I'm all about goodness.
I love that. And if you could say anything to your fans and followers, what would you want to say to them?
Be true to yourself and follow your heart and your dreams, and it will happen. Maybe not in the way you think. You know, I saw this one poster on my dad's wall of his office that he found at some junkyard, and it said, it's this old crusty cowboy, and he's chewing on a piece of straw, and it says, there's a hell of a lot they didn't tell me when I signed on with his outfit. Ooh, yeah. To me, that's life. There's a hell of a lot that you end up where you're at. You never expected to be there, even though you thought you had a plan. And that's certainly the case for me in acting. I didn't expect
never
to be
expected
here.
that.
Right.
You know, intuitively, I may have wanted or wished for sure, but never thought it was something that was possible. But maybe it was a seed planted way back when, and it was always designed to be. And I believe that wherever you are, you can make a difference, and
absolutely,
and be aware of the signs and push hard and be dependable and work hard at it, and you'll get there.
You know, I love that. You know, even with our show, I never imagined this show and where we are today. If you had told me a couple of years ago this all would be happening, I probably would have laughed.
Oh, me too. Yes,
but like you said, there might have been signs that in the past that led to things. Well, through our almost 19 years of marriage, there would be many times that we'd be on the street and we'd run into people. And I'm not talking running into friends, but running into strangers. And I'd end up 2, 3, 4 minutes in a conversation. She would know that when that happens, usually we're there 30, 60 minutes. There's just no way around it. And I've done that thousands and thousands of times through our almost 19 years of marriage. And now I look back and like, that was preparing us for this show. We just didn't realize it because it gave us a chance to actually use all that stuff that we talk with people about to actually do this.
And a lot of that are things that you wouldn't necessarily want to live again, but were blessings because of the challenge that it offered back then. It created the foundation for what and who you are now.
Exactly. I mean, I went through 19 years of addictions until almost 14 years ago too. So you add all of that in, and it just makes sense what we're doing now. So what is a show or movie that you've seen that you wish you played a role in?
Ooh. A bunch of movies, you know. I mean, geez, starting out, I mean, when I was a kid, I wish I was an ET, you know. I mean,
that would have been a good one.
Oh yes, that's a great one.
Back in the day, and Goonies. I mean, think about how amazing adventurous those movies look to a 10, 12, 15-year-old kid.
Yes.
And they were it was such a popular movie, The Goonies. I mean, and E.T. So you can imagine that when they went to school and all that, people knew who they were. So, you know, they definitely played those parts so great.
Yep. Then as I got older, I mean, can you imagine playing on the set of Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I mean,
yes.
Get me away from these thrillers. Get me to something fun to play, you know?
Some comedy.
Yeah.
Especially in our day and time.
Yeah. So and more recently, you know, anything action adventure would be exciting. You know, I thoroughly, The Outlander would be a great show to be on. Certainly Game of Thrones. All of those seem like would be amazing shows that are filmed out of Europe and England and such. Just phenomenal casts. Be amazing to be able to be a part of those.
Most definitely. Now, if you had a friend of yours and they were sticking their feet into the acting world and they've done maybe a show here, a show there, maybe in a few commercials. So they're still getting their feet wet, but they feel that this is what they're supposed to do with their life. What advice would you give that specific person to kind of help guide them the next couple of years?
I would focus on relationships and building relationships with people that could make a difference in the industry. And I wouldn't be asking them for things. I would be seeking ways to where I could enhance their life and help them in ways to where they would naturally desire to help me back. And I would want it to be genuine, not fake, based upon your insatiable desire to become famous, because that's not how it works. And while also putting my feet to the pavement and seeing every opportunity I had, I would be putting in lots of actors' reels to as many jobs I could possibly get my hands on.
Definitely love that. So as we come to a close here, tell everybody how they can find you.
You can go onto IMDb and search for Roger Dorman. You can see all my projects there, or you can find me on Instagram. It's roger.dorman. That's roger.dorman at roger.dorman to find me there. And I try to keep people up to date on both my personal life as well as my acting stuff right there. So
love that. You know, we really enjoyed having you on the show today. We definitely look forward to having you back down the road for some updates.
I appreciate you having me on the show, and congratulations with your show, and good luck with it.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
You have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Yes.
You too.